and gentlemen, welcome to the Shadow City podcast. I am your host, Larry, and this is, well, Larry or Brandon, whichever you prefer, because we're not in character here. We're talking out of character. But this is with Mr. Daryl Williams, and this is the next episode of Dark Side of Efeds, and this is called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. How are you today, sir?
Fair to Midland. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Just got back from Tinseltown. I don't know if you guys have one down there. It's where the Cinemark Movies is. And
Mm,
I got a Spider-Man stuffy. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. You shall be my co-host today. So with this Dark Side of eFeds, people have came on here, told us stuff of how their experiences are. Some there's times that it's good and there's some times that it's bad, and I think we're going to start out strong by asking the simple question for those that don't know, who is Daryl Williams in the EFED community?
Daryl Williams in the EFEC community is a pile of pixels on a screen. Um, no, no, he's a character that has been, he carries my name and looks as close to me as possible because after a certain point while I was doing this, I wanted to start cutting promos in person and doing them that way, video promos and stuff, things of that nature. So I was started out over in the running in some places in the UK and Japan, some online federations that were run out of there for a little while. And I started out, and my guy was under a mask, and he went by the name Joseph Alexander. He did okay. I mean, he did okay for the most part. Me just getting my feet wet, just learning how this worked and how this operated and everything. And I did okay. Towards the end of being over there, I decided I had got these T-shirts from a clothing company called Hostility Clothing, and logos on them were real cool. And I was just thinking, I was like, wonder why. In all my time of watching wrestling, and I'm about to turn 47 years old, and my first TV memory is wrestling. All my time of watching wrestling, I never heard of a group or a tag team or anything named Hostility in wrestling. So I felt like it was a missed opportunity and decided I wanted to build my own crew. After being a member of a crew while I was over there and across the pond, I was in a group called the Psycho Club. Um, it disbanded and dissolved, and then I decided I wanted to try my own crew. So I ran the idea, by a couple of people that were there with me, and they liked it and they joined up and we ran it and messed around with it, basically just really figuring out what I wanted to do with it and how I wanted it to be and having matches and things of that nature. And, then life was lifing and those federations closed. So I had to find somewhere else to go. So I went to the UWF and the UWF was really where hostility really took off and got a foothold as far as that goes. We did really well there. We had pay-per-views that were dedicated to hostility. We were the main heels on the roster. We were treated as such. You've seen the video. You've seen the tapes and stuff.
Mhm.
You've seen. Um, Doing pretty well there. Going pretty well through all that. There, we were set up for a pretty good feud where hostility actually broke up and Johnson. The team of hostility, better known by a lot of people, was probably Johnson and Williams because that's where we were in DTKA. We weren't allowed to have a group like we were in UWF, so we were like, all right, well, we'll just be a tag team. And when we got to DTKA, there was a lot of things that happened in DTKA. A lot of good, a lot of weird, some bad, a lot of good. I mean, DTKA was a good spot. The production was really good. The commentary was really good. UWF had great production and great commentary as well. So we were still kind of in our element as far as that went. DTKA was presented more like a job than it was like a hobby. That was And that's we'll get to one. We'll go ahead and get to one of the ugly things out the way right now. You know, when you take a hobby and to my knowledge, and I could be very wrong, and I really don't care if I am or I'm not, because I couldn't imagine how anybody's making money off of streaming a professional wrestling video game online. They may be, they may be, but I just find it hard. I just find it hard to believe because professional wrestling is becoming an incredibly niche market again, and then people who play professional wrestling video games online is an even more niche market. So I just have a hard time believing that someone would be making enough money to tell their participants in a federation that wouldn't even exist or be able to run if these people weren't there to begin with that you can't go anywhere else. You have to share, you have to like, you have to you have to send stars, you have to do this, you have to do that, and we may listen to some ideas that you have, maybe. Um, we stayed there for a little bit when we first got there. We came in there kind of, believing our own hype too when we came in because we were treated like we were treated in the UWF. When we got to DTKA, and it was like we're hostility. Where's the difference that we deserve? We're hostility. We were just believing our own shit for a little bit, and we didn't do horrible when we first got there. Um, Everybody operating under the impression that the Federation was ran, straight up AI versus AI and all that kind of thing. Well, then the infamous glitch happened, and if anybody was on the fence thinking about how it was run, they were definitely shown how it was ran when that happened. The infamous glitch happened. It ruined the push for a he was Fuck Norris. It ruined Fuck Norris's push because he was organically getting over and becoming one of the most popular people in DTKA at that time, and it just ruined his push. And then the glitch was Wildman beat him. And the feed glitched, and when it came back, it was Fuck Norris beating Wildman, and that was the ending that they stuck with. Um, So we had been checking Fuck Norris out since he had come in. So we would wanted to work with him. We wanted to bring him into hostility and whatnot. Weren't going to be able to do that. All he'd really be able to do was just be affiliated because, again, like I said, we weren't going to be allowed to have a big group when we were in DTKA. So he would have just been affiliated with us. But we were still interested in working with him and whatnot. So reached out to Archie and had the idea of since we had come to DTKA, the main story and the main feud, just in words and promos and things, was the Headhunters versus Hostility. It had been building since the day we walked through the door. Um, so I get a hold of Archie. I'm like, Archie, try to fix this thing, man. You got Fuck Norris going in the triple threat against the Headhunters, and he doesn't have any partners anybody knows of right now. I said, what we can do is you can make Hostility his partner. So what you have is arguably the hottest heel tag team in DTKA now coming out to side with arguably the hottest face in DTKA to take on the Headhunters, who are arguably some of the hottest heels in DTKA as well. So since we already know that it's not 100% 100, AI versus AI, if you understand wrestling psychology at all, you already know that wrestling psychology says that it doesn't matter if anybody from Hostility gets a win. Fuck Norris is supposed to go over. He has a psychological advantage with Hostility coming out. He'd have the fans behind him. It was a pay per view. You always want the fans to go home happy after a pay per view, so generally the faces are over. And it would have helped bring some of his credibility back and help fix his push that had been damaged by the glitch. That's not what happened. Um, Ends up, I I think it was either Norris or it was Williams that were the last two guys in it, and nobody from I don't recall. I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and watch the tapes, but I don't think anybody on that side. I think it was a sweep, if I remember correctly. I believe it was a sweep. The headhunters swept us, and that was that. So I was frustrated. Jeremiah was frustrated. It was like, look, man, we've been doing this a little bit for a little while already, and we'll take some time off. So we take some time off, and while taking that time off, Chris Chris Cleveland, he gets a hold of me. I'm sitting outside in the parking lot of Food Lion, waiting for my fiance to get back in the car from grabbing some things real quick, and he hits me up on Messenger. He says, "Hey, when you get a minute, if you would call me real quick." Well, I had a minute, so I called him. We talked. He said, "Would y'all be interested in coming back?" I was like, "Yeah, I really don't know. We weren't real happy with the way we were handled over there. Plus, trying to help fix storylines, and we weren't real happy with how that was handled. And we're just kind of chilling right now." And he was like, "Well, would you come back if we gave you a title shot?" Saying, "Well, a tag team title shot." And so I asked. I said, "Well, I can shoot it by Jeremiah and see what he says. I mean." But of course, if he says no, then it's going to be a no because hostility is not really hostility as far as the tag team goes. If it's not Williams and Johnson,
Hmm.
it's like Bubba and no Devon, Hawk and no Animal. Fucking, it's just it's the way it should be as far as the tag team goes. So I hit Jay up real quick, and I'm like, man, look, they want us to come back to DTKA. They're offering us a world tag team title shot. And he was like, well, what if we lose? So I don't know. Hell, I guess we just leave again. I don't know. I don't know because that's a good question. What if we come back after all this nonsense and then we just lose again?
So you felt them offering you
Probably.
a tag title shot, they were going to put you over?
I wouldn't see any reason for bringing us back and giving us a tag team title shot if that wasn't what they were going to do.
Okay.
So and John and Jeremy, go inside. Thank you. Sorry, my my 5-year-old daughter is out here. She's not supposed to be. This isn't the children's area.
The life of a
Um,
father.
yeah, it's great, man. It's great. And it is. I don't say that in jest or anything. It is. It's great. I enjoy it. As annoying as it can be at sometimes, I enjoy it regardless. So anyway, I asked Jeremiah if he'd be interested in going back and tell him, they've offered us a tag team title shot, and he says, well, what if we lose? And I was like, I don't know. I guess we just leave again. I don't know. Because like I said, it's a good question. If we're just going to come back and they're going to give us a title shot and then we just lose again, well then what are we even doing? So he's like, "Yeah, we'll go back," and I was like, "All right, sure." I get back a hold of Chris, and I tell him, I'm like, "Yeah, we'll come back. It's cool." He's like, "All right, well, y'all are gonna come back at the Christmas paper." It was close to Christmas. He said, "You're gonna come back at the Christmas pay per view, and it'll go from there." And we came back at the Christmas pay per view. The Anarchists had defended the tag team titles against. I want to say it was ABM. I could be wrong. I want to say it was ABM. Right after that match was over with, Archie hit our music, and we come in. And we come in and we have a match against the Anarchists for the tag team titles, and we win. And that started the longest tag team championship reign in DTKA history. To this day, still the longest reign.
Wow.
Um, Daryl Williams, back to who Daryl Williams in the EFED community is. Daryl Williams is a character that has ran and gotten a group of. Yeah, go ahead. Daryl Williams is a character and a personality that has ran and gotten a group of people over for, and not just him, but, everybody, but hostility itself as a whole, which I'm, responsible for creating to begin with, has lasted from 2016 until just recently, about a month ago or so, maybe a little more it was. and we've retired the hostility brand for the moment. Um, don't know if or when we'll ever bring the hostility brand back or not. I don't know. I feel like it was a really good run. As far as that goes, it far exceeded anything I thought that it was going to become. I just, thought it'd be some playing a game and all that nonsense, and that's all it would be. But it turned into something bigger than that, and that's pretty dope. But yeah, that's basically who and what Daryl Williams is in the EFED. I mean, I've held championships all over the place. I've been inducted into 3 Hall of Fames. Lots of stuff, man. It's been crazy. It's been amazing. Talk about the dark side of the EFEDs and stuff, and I don't have a lot of bad. I don't have beef with anybody as far as that goes. As far as EFEDing and all that goes, I don't have beef with anybody. I don't have problems with anybody. Don't want to have beef or problems with anybody. Not for real, because again, it's a game. It's a hobby. I see a lot of things. I see a lot of things that are just crazy. I mean, you do too. You're back there with us too. You see a lot of shit in this EFED world. It's just like, really, that's what's going on. None of us are taking bumps. None of us are making millions of dollars, and that's really how y'all want to act. You want to act like you're taking bumps, and you want to act like you're making millions of dollars, but you're not. We're playing a game. The point is losing. No matter who likes it or not, the point is losing. Someone has to lose so the story can continue.
Yeah.
Just because you lose doesn't mean that you're out of the story. It just means that you got to figure out which way you're going now. It's simple. I mean, you can win and you can win and you can win, but then you're just Goldberg. And after a while, nobody cares anymore. Either nobody cares anymore or people just despise you and they just want to see you lose. And Goldberg was not a heel, so why would people want to see him lose? They just got tired of his shit. You can stay undefeated forever, but I mean, come on, as good as Hogan wasn't even undefeated forever.
Andre was undefeated for 15 years, supposedly, and for a long time.
Yeah. Andre was an attraction, and when you're an attraction and not really like a full time competitor, it's easier to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was Andre the Giant, for crying out loud. He was like the largest human being in wrestling at that
Yeah.
point. So,
Yeah.
why not? Why not? But yeah, that's pretty much the Cliff's notes as far as that goes. The quick version of who Daryl Williams is in the EFED community.
Well, since we are on the good, the bad, and the ugly, you told us one of the uglies, but we'll talk about more about the uglies here soon. But I want to ask you, what are the good things about Efeds?
The good things about EFES, man, there's a lot. There's a lot of good things. I've met a lot of people that I would have never met. Just because I wouldn't have been in Texas, I wouldn't have been in Oregon, I wouldn't have been in Florida, I wouldn't have been in wherever everybody that I've met is from to be able to meet these people. We may have chance encountered, just walk by each other on the street somewhere one day, but we'd have never known it. And so I mean, I've met a lot of really awesome, really fucking good people in this community. So that's the main good of it. I mean, I met Chris, I met you, I've met Wild Man, Alfonso, I met him. Chambers is a good dude. I met him. So many people that I've met just doing this, just living a hobby. Um, that's the main good. That's the main good, because you meet more people and your support circle gets bigger, and you have more people you can lean on, you can talk to, and all that kind of thing. And it's a better deal all the way around if it's done right. We Chris and I had an idea to do off the record when we were in DTKA, and it was just supposed to be. It didn't necessarily have to be when we talked about wrestling. You've been in many OTRs. You've
Hmm.
been in many, and we don't always talk about wrestling. We talk about anything. It doesn't matter. That's not what we're. If you want to talk about what's going on with your character and what's going on with your storyline and stuff, that's fine too. But it was great, and I wish more people would, would take advantage of it, because there's a lot of people that, sometimes just need to shoot the shit with somebody. And
Exactly.
man, we're definitely anybody in the IWA that sees this, and I mean, if there's other people that see this and are interested, they could hit, me or Brandon or even, Chris up in the DMs and let them know that they, let them know when OTR is on or whatever it may be, whenever we're doing one, man. Anybody is more than welcome. I mean, this is a community that we want to see thrive. This is a community that we want to see grow. And we feel like if you're able to get to know the people that you're working with, you're able to put forth better product as far as promos and knowing what you can say and how you can say it with people and all that kind of thing. If you know the person you're working with, then you don't have to question each other as to what it is that you can say promo wise or what you can do as far as, matches go and things like that. We're cool. We know what we're doing. We know who we are. So we can go forward with this and we can make good TV. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, making good TV and having fun. But yeah, that's the biggest good with the with online wrestling is just the people and the relationships and the friendships that you're able to build, doing it. It's wonderful for that.
Hell yeah. And do you think that you can, if you can, tell us the bad stuff about Efeds?
The simple answer is everything opposite of what I just told you, and there's an abundance of everything opposite of what I just told you. There are people that will slander you for no reason because again, we're just playing a game. Nobody's making money here. We're just playing a game. You're not really winning a championship. But there are people that will slander your name to try to get further with it with people that own these federations. There's people that will take verbal liberties with you just because they feel like they can hide behind a character. Oh, I was in character when I said that. I was in character, but when they said what they said in character didn't match what was going on in the story. For instance, if you want to talk about someone's mother in character, quote unquote, unless that character has said something about their mother, as far as you know, that character doesn't even have a mother.
Or even
So
give them
whose mother are you?
permission to do something like that.
Yeah, yeah. But so whose mother are you talking about? Because this character on the screen, as far as you know, doesn't have one. So whose mother are you talking about? Well, you got to be talking about the person behind the character's mother then. So that's personal. That's a personal attack, and that has no business in this. People who role play physical altercations in chat rooms. The chat room isn't where you role play physical altercations at. Physical altercations happen in the ring. Verbal altercations happen in the chat. You're not going to role play that you slap somebody and just get away with it because no, you didn't. My guy wouldn't just let you slap him. Even in any RPG, the RPG world, if you're playing D&D, if you're playing Star Wars, if you're playing Rifts, if you're playing Shadowrun, whatever it is you may be playing, if you say, I want to go slap this guy, you have to roll initiative to see if you can even slap that guy. So you can't just walk up to another guy in the chat and say, well, you get arguing back and forth and arguing back and forth, and all such and such slaps Daryl Williams, or such and such slaps Eddie Walker, or such and such slaps Leo Blade. No, you didn't. They wouldn't just let you do that to them. So what do we do now? Are we supposed to role play rolling around on the ground fighting with each other now? Because that's stupid. And that's why it doesn't work. It's why it doesn't work to do that in a chat. Um, there's people that will try to run your federation out of business and you'll never understand why. IWA doesn't even really advertise itself as a federation. We're a showcase.
Yeah.
We do it way different. We are absolutely 100% AI versus AI. Everybody is on either 99 or 100, whatever your max can be. And whoever wins, wins, and whoever loses, loses. And now a lot of people have had a lot of problems with that because when you come to IWA, you either find out that your call is as good as you say it was, or you find out your call was some trash because there's no playing with sliders. There's no fudging the results. It's like I said, if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people will leave and they'll complain about how I mean, and it's like that in other federations, I'm sure, but I can only talk about the one that I'm in. Um, they'll go and they'll talk about us, say they don't like the way the booking is in IWA, or they don't like this, or they don't like that. And it's like, well, what do you not like? It's 100% legit. What do you not like about 100% legit?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand how people don't like authenticity. People have a problem with authenticity, I guess it is. They don't like the fact that I can't go to the GM and tell them, hey, look, I kind of like my guy to get pushed, and we can put you in the position to do whatever it is you're trying to do in the IWA, but it's up to your call. A lot of times, if you run promos and stuff and things of that nature, and you're active, you'll get put in positions quicker than someone who just wants to watch their call on the screen. We can put you in a position. It's up to your call to produce and do what it needs to do to further the story for you. And I don't understand the problem that people have with that, other than I guess they just don't like being exposed. I swear, man, my last three matches I lost. My last three matches, all three of those were against Leo Blade, and had absolutely no problem at all losing any of them because they were damn good TV. That's all I'm worried about doing, man. I'm worried about putting on, good TV, because while I'm building my brand, I'm also trying to help build the federation or the showcase or the IWA's brand. So it goes hand in hand. If I can help elevate a championship from mid card to being a main event title, and then push it even further over with the promo work I do and the matches that my call puts on with another call and things of that nature, then it's all the better. It's all the better for everybody, because it gets more eyes on us, because people see, oh well, they're putting good TV together over here. Let's go see what they're talking about. Gets more eyes on us, gets more eyes on the people that are participating. It's a win-win. And from the time IWA started to this very day, and it's been we've only been around like 3 years or so now, I guess it's been. From the time it started to this very day, there's somebody trying to do something to get the IWA to stop. And I have to this day still never figured out why. I don't know why. But that's some of the bad and the ugly.
So you think that was kind of like a mixture? Is there, since, do you think there's nothing else that would be considered ugly that you would like to speak about?
Ugly is people being offered opportunities and having problems somehow with how they're being booked. We had someone who was, Crystal. We'll say Crystal. We'll take Crystal King for instance. She was having some issues with how things were going with her. Um, so Chris and Alfonso and I got together, and I was like, well, we'll just put her in hostility. That'll help all that there, and maybe we can work with her and get her to work on as far as the promo work and all that goes, and we'll see what happens. And she did well. At one point, she was the women's champion in IWA, still had won a battle royal to have another shot at a championship. So she pretty much had the world in the palm of her hand, and somehow or other still had a problem with how IWA was booked. A lot of people will get on here and they don't want to say names and all that kind of stuff. I really don't give a fuck about that, because the people who did it are the people who did it. Um, but yeah, it's that happened. There was Ari Hale. We were going to bring Ari Hale into hostility, because I was just digging. I was digging the work he was doing. He seemed like he was making some progress. The look made sense. And he was worried about coming to hostility because he thought he was going to have to change. Nobody ever said anything about him having to change, dude. We just want to put a vest on you and say that you're affiliated with hostility. You've gotten to where you are right now, and you've done well, and you've listened. As far as we can tell, you've been paying attention. So you deserve a little bit of a rub right now. So we want to put you with a crew that's doing things that can get a little more, get some more eyes on you, and this is the help. But he was afraid he was going to be asked to change. Nobody's had to change. Fuck Norris has played the same character he's been since he started, and he was a member of hostility.
That name is unique.
I've played.
Buck Norris is unique. That name.
Amazing, man. It's amazing. It's an amazing name. He's an amazing dude. If anybody ever gets to know him, if you see him around, you can get strike up a conversation with him. Yeah, he's worth time. He's worth time.
Yeah.
Um, but Yeah, man, that's just why people want to be so contrary. All we're doing is playing a game that we all supposedly like. We're participating in a hobby we all supposedly like, and I just don't understand how, you know, man, the more the merrier. It doesn't bother me how many other federations there are out there. That just tells me if something were to happen and Chris were to decide that he didn't want to run IWA anymore, which is for all the shit he's been through since he started running IWA, I would definitely understand if he was just like, look, I'm not trying to deal with this shit anymore. I would absolutely understand it. But that just, the more federations there are out there, it just tells me that there's somewhere else I can go if I choose to. If IWA's doors were to close, there's somewhere else I can go and try to continue enjoying my hobby. So it's not a problem. Everybody out there running another federation or whatever it may be right now, we're not in competition with you. IWA is not in competition with you, and I can tell you truthfully, we don't even care about you as far as competition goes because we have enough people, we have enough talent, we have enough goddamn good talent to where whatever it is you got going on in your federation, we don't need it. We would love to have you. We'd love to have you. Like I said, the more the merrier, but we don't need you and we're not in competition with you. So y'all can put that dumb whatever envy, jealousy, whatever it is that you have for IWA on the shelf because dude, it's misplaced and it's one-sided because we don't hate you. We probably don't even care about you. Um that's pretty much the size of that.
Well said. Well said, sir. Is there anything else you would like to discuss that we haven't discussed, or have we basically run over the basics?
I think that'd probably be the basics. In whatever time we have allotted left, I'm sure there'll be some other shit that comes across as we think of it, but it's probably the basics right now. What do you got? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, like, well, we were basically this is the Dark Side of Efeds, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've been setting this up for a little while now. Like yours and Leo's episodes have been anticipated to hear by people. So you're the going to be episode 7, of course. This is the 7th episode. Leo Blade will be returning for part 2 in the future. Cedric. But yeah, I think I went through everything that we needed to speak about personally, unless there was something that we missed, but it sounds like you did express how you feel and you have a right to that. And thank you for coming on, really. But you also I think I will take a little bit of time to ask like so people can understand a little bit more. We've had talks about pro wrestling and like the psychology of pro wrestling, and you were speaking on earlier how pro wrestling has become what was the word you used? Like it was becoming acquitted, not acquitted, but a
It's I forgot the word I used
yeah, yeah,
earlier,
it
so
was
I
like
just
you meant
I
like a
just said
failed brand or
it's
something, like
yeah,
something
it's
like
it's
that.
yeah, it's just disappointing now. Professional wrestling these days is just disappointing now, and I know there's a lot of people that love it, and that's cool. If y'all dig it, y'all dig it. That's great. I don't. Like I said, my first ever memory is television. My first ever television memory is NWA Mid Atlantic Wrestling on the TBS at 6:05 Eastern from Center Stage in Atlanta, Georgia. That's my first ever memory. The person who was in the ring in this first ever memory that I remember was the great Kabuki.
Ooh,
This is
like
how far back I go. This is how far back I go personally with wrestling. And I have a very old school mindset as far as wrestling goes. Maybe a lot like Jim Cornette's. I'm another one of the old men over here yelling at the sky for being blue, basically, because you understand that the product would have to evolve regardless. You couldn't have kept it like it was, no matter how bad you wanted to or how hard you tried. You couldn't have kept it like it was for it to get as far as it has gotten. You wouldn't have been able to keep it like that regardless. It doesn't matter. People will get tired of it. People start to see the shine starts to come off. People start to see chinks in the armor. The fucking curtain gets pulled back. You start to see a little more of the magic and all that kind of thing. And after a while, there's a show called Unbelievable or Un whatever it is that show is called. And They're just telling you every single thing that's going on as far as they're showing you the writers backstage doing their thing. They're showing the people talking about what they're going to do. And like the dark side, I always want to say the dark side of the ring, but
Yeah, Dark Side of the Ring, though, it is a good show. One day we need to
yeah, the
review
Dark
those
Side of the
episodes.
Ring is an amazing show. If anybody hasn't watched that, definitely see if you can get a
Yeah.
hold of some reruns and check that out. Dark Side of the Ring is amazing.
Hmm.
Beyond the Mat, when Beyond the Mat came out,
Ooh, that's a classic. That was in theaters, I
yeah,
heard. I heard that shit
I
was
saw it.
amazing.
I saw it in the theater. Um, my mom, my brother, and I went and saw it in the theater. We were one of the few people there because it was a matinee. So, and it was really good. But in the back of my mind, at the same time, I was feeling like this isn't entertaining and entertainment wise. And for someone like me who is like ever since like Starcade '86, I've understood wrestling. We've had this conversation before. I've told you how
Yep.
and why, and we'll get into that in a minute if you'd like.
Oh, yeah.
But so ever since Starcade '86, I've understood wrestling. I have got it, and I was like 7 or 8 years old in '86. So from that point to now, I started watching wrestling differently. Okay, well, if this is what it is, then I want to understand. I want to pay attention to what's going on in the ring as far as the story that they're telling, the 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 point they're trying to get across in their promos. Watch these moves, how they're doing these moves, and what it looks like. As far as how wrestling looked so crisp back in those days, man. It looked it looked like they were struggling. It wasn't like it is today, where dudes will stand there for 5 minutes waiting for somebody to jump off a top rope so they can catch them, or the fucking Canadian destroyer or whatever flippy move it is so badly telegraphed you can tell they're working with each other. It wasn't like that back in the days. It was very snug, it was very crisp, and it looked legitimate most of the time. It looked legitimate. Um
And they actually were stiff back in the day, and they would actually bleed.
oh yeah, they'd either blade themselves or they'd get it the hard way. Yeah. That's how it was. I figured out wrestling at such a young age. The cameraman caught a bad angle at Starcade.
Yes, tell the people about the angle that you told me about that was caught.
So Starcade '86 Night of the Skywalkers was put on in two separate arenas because they were going to have a cage match and they were going to have a scaffold match, and they couldn't put the cage up around the ring with a scaffold over top of it. So they had it in Greensboro, I believe it was, and Atlanta.
Ooh.
And I don't remember which ring was it, which one. It's way long time ago, but one of the main events was Ric Flair versus Nikita Koloff for the world heavyweight title. Um, Flair and Koloff are fighting and fighting, and they're at the arena that had the scaffold up over the ring. So they fight out onto the floor. Nikita slams Ric Flair's head into the scaffold leg, and he rolls under the apron. Nikita gets in, and he's doing his thing or whatever to draw the crowd's attention and stuff. And the cameraman shoots from the angle to where you can see Flair's head under the thing. He doesn't have his head like completely under the apron, but it's like there, and you can see him, and he's got this blade, and he's cutting his forehead. So I said, "Aha! I get it." So these people aren't really trying to kill each other because in the back of your mind, even back in those days, as a 7 or 8 year old, there's no way in the world they could really be doing this stuff to each other and not really hurting each other anyway. Every time someone at school would tell me wrestling was fake, they weren't really telling me anything, and they weren't really telling me anything that bothered me because this can't be as legitimate as they're trying to make it out to be. It just can't. Common sense says so. And then I saw, the camera shoot the wrong angle, and Flair's cutting his forehead with the blade and all that shit, and it's aha, and I get it. So it's cool. And it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me, as far as that went, because they still tried to protect kayfabe as much as possible.
Yeah.
It was still very, very protected. You couldn't just go online and find hundreds of wrestling schools where it is you could go learn how to be a professional wrestler and all that kind of shit. It was, they still tried to keep the lid on it. And then, Beyond the Mat came out, and it was cool, because it showed me a little bit more behind the curtain, like what I wanted to see from what I understood. But at the same time, you still had a whole bunch of fans that it was still real to them. And those people get picked on a lot, and I hate they get picked on a lot because I feel like they're important to professional wrestling. I feel like they're important to professional wrestling because they don't exist anymore now. Um, everybody's in on the joke now. You know, nobody thinks it's real anymore, really, unless they're way up in the mountains somewhere, or some in a little tiny podunk town to where the new news hadn't gotten to them or something. Everybody's pretty much in on a joke now. Everybody's seen how the trick is done, and there. I don't feel like there's anything that we can do as far as real pro wrestling between actual people goes to get the crowd to engage like they used to. Um, because like I said, everybody's in on it now. Everybody knows this is a work. Everybody knows somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. Everybody, if you watch this stuff closely enough and you watch how the angle is progressing and how the feud is progressing, you can pretty much tell who's going to come out the winner at the end of it. Um, it's ruined. It's been, as far as I'm concerned, professional wrestling, WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever it may be, is ruined. It's been ruined, and it's not going to be able to be fixed because we can't put the fucking toothpaste back into the tube now. It's all out. All we can do is just let it go like it is. But there's online wrestling, and every show that I've seen, absolutely every show I've seen at IWA, and whether I was on the show, gimmick retired, or whatever it may be, it hasn't mattered. IWA puts on better shit than I've watched on TV, and even clips that I watch of the shit that was supposed to be this great match or this great spot that happened at an event or something. Ain't none of it touching IWA. Ain't none of it touching a lot of the shit that I've seen, abroad as far as like online wrestling goes throughout the years that I've been, involved in it. It's just better. It is better also because we don't know we don't know who's going to win and lose, so we still got some kayfabe with our shit. We still got some kayfabe because we don't know who's going to win and who's going to lose, and we just got to sit back and watch it and react like everybody else does.
Exactly.
So I feel like the people who run AEW and the people who run WWE and other places could benefit from like paying attention to these. Pay attention to the community in general. Pay attention to it in general and see who's doing what and see who's making some noise and see who's putting good TV out there and talk to them and be like, well, what is it that you're doing? And they would never because they think they fucking know it all. But I don't know.
I hear you.
Sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Um, well, I mean, I think that we kind of covered everything that I think we could at the moment. Thank you again, Daryl, for coming on. And Daryl Williams is his real name, everybody. His character's name is that, but that is his real name.
Yeah, that's really me. Yeah, but like I said, I've been involved in Efed since 2016. I've I mean, I like talking about it. I like talking about wrestling. You and I talk about wrestling all the fucking time for hours on end. Talk
Yeah.
about all kinds of stuff. And dude, it just if anybody wants to get into it, we welcome you. We'll if you have questions, if you feel like you need help working with your gimmick on your promo, whatever it may be. I mean, IWA alone, that's not even, mention the rest of the online community in general, because there's great creators out there. There's Warbound the creator, and the other What's the Status, and there's all kinds of them. They're all great creators as well who would have input as far. I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to give you anything for free because they charge for their shit, and rightfully so. And a lot of people do because a lot of time goes into these creations. A lot of time and a lot of work where someone could be doing something else while they're helping you make your call. There's another thing. There we go. I know you was trying to wrap it up, but I was
No,
talking
no, no,
some
no.
other
Keep
things.
going. Keep going.
Um, The liberties that are taken with people's creations. The liberties that are taken with people's creations, and the fact that if, say for instance, we'll just say for instance, I make you a call.
Okay.
And so this is your call to use as you see fit, but I'd really rather you not, really distribute it out to a lot of different places because you're building a brand now. You're building a brand now, and you may end up in a federation that's not going to, present your character and your call in the light that it should be to continue to build a brand that's going to mean something later on. And I know everybody's not in it to build a brand that's going to mean something later on or whatever it may be, but I feel like everybody wants to be good at their hobby. And part of being good at this hobby is building your brand.
Yeah.
So you'd end up in places like what's it, C2, CW or whatever it may be, where they punish their male talent for maybe not being able to make it to a show. And I will admit this is just information I've gotten from, the buzz from the bees and, the tweedle from the birds and whatnot. I haven't heard it from anyone from C2 CW personally. So there's that. But say for instance their talent can't make a show or something, watch a show when it's on live. So they're going to get punished now, and he's going to punish them by putting them in an intergender match and then have the female go over. Now, if you like it, fine. If you don't like it, fine. I feel like if anytime an intergender match happens, the money is lost on the male that's in the match. It doesn't matter win or lose. You have damaged that product. You have damaged that brand enough to where it's not really. I mean, what the fuck has Jeff Jarrett done since he lost to China? What did Road Dogg really do after he lost to China? I mean, you just can't, because all you are when that happens is if you lose, you're a guy that lost to a girl. If you win, you're a dude that beat up a girl. It just, and a lot of people love it for whatever reason. I really don't know why. I even look at myself. I'm not I'm not fucking the Incredible Hulk or anything, but fuck, do I look like beating up a girl?
Yeah.
I,
Do you have a right to that opinion? I personally do.
absolutely. And like I said, this is my opinion. This
Yeah.
is my opinion. And I'm sure you have your own opinion as well. What's your opinion on the subject?
Well, personally, I've never had an issue with intergender matches. Like, I feel like it's something rare to see at times. Like when it does happen, it is rare. And like freaking China, as you brought up, she became the first woman to enter a Royal Rumble, which more women did that after that, but she was one that I
Yeah.
idolized it. But she was also the first woman to hold a male championship, which was never heard of, which I think was a big feat for her because she at the time too, we have to remember WWF always saw the ladies for a lot of the time for their bodies. That was a big thing, and I think you know what I'm referring to, like freaking bronze
Yeah.
panty matches, the mud pool
Yeah.
matches, or whatever they were called, and but it was like the women are somewhat very well could be as tougher, if not as tough as the guys, and China made a big way for like future women like Beth Phoenix, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Jordan Grace, like all these women that are coming in now. China helped pave the way, and especially there was a good period of time where I don't know if you knew this, but women's wrestling was banned for a good what I believe was said like a few 5, 10 years or something like that. For a good
I
point.
didn't know it was banned. Yeah, I didn't know it was ever banned. Wow, I didn't know it was banned.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I believe Jim Cornette said it on one of the Dark Side of the Rings. He was like, "Women's wrestling was banned for a while at a point in time," and I'm like, "Really? That was banned?"
Oh,
And
yeah, news to me. Okay, all right. Wow.
yeah, and there are ladies that are really trying to bust their ass out there. But as I've told you many of times when it comes to certain the big time companies like WWE, it's always hit or miss for me. I never go into a show anymore being like, "Oh, it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread." I don't see that no more. Like how you were talking to me the other day, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock fighting on a Monday Night Raw. On a SmackDown, you had Triple H and The Undertaker per se. You had like all these main event matches happening on these shows, but the main event matches that they have happening now, it doesn't have that same feeling no more. In AEW, you already know my opinions on the crack addict. He fucking
Yeah, we
doesn't
got
know
that.
how to run a goddamn wrestling show. He's literally on crack the half the time. I don't think he even
Well,
knows the psychology of wrestling. He's the modern day Herb Abrams. No offense to Herb.
I I understand your vitriol there, sir. I'm not going to speculate on his recreational uh uh recreational inebriation, whatever it may be.
Now,
I don't
granted,
agree
New
with.
Jack, one of my favorites, he did coke openly, but he was a badass and somebody that was actually pretty real than most of the like. There was guys that would like say shit that he would call out, and I feel like he was like the one to really speak the truth a lot of the time. Not saying that there's others that couldn't, but like he was the one that was pretty truthful a lot of the goddamn time, and he literally admitted to what he did, like with certain situations, as you know, if you know who New Jack
Yeah,
is.
yeah, he
Yeah.
was he was a self-admitted piece of shit and asshole. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he didn't ever run from it. He didn't ever try to pretend he was anything other.
Hmm.
So it is what it is. I enjoyed watching quite a few of New Jack's matches. Now, getting to know things that I gotten to know about him, like behind the scenes, uh, I fortunately am able to separate the character from the person. It's like my views on Chris Benoit. I can separate the character from the person as far as Chris Benoit goes. A lot of people can't, and I don't really understand how because they didn't do anything to you. He didn't do anything to me. Yeah, what happened was tragic. It was horrible, but he didn't do anything to me. I'm not gonna get online like a lot of these people do in the internet in the IWC and just every time somebody makes a Chris Benoit call, it's a dope fucking call, right? But people want to slam it because it's Chris Benoit and Chris Benoit is a murderer. Chris Benoit, the man, is a murderer. Chris Benoit, the performer in the ring, he wasn't a murderer. He was one of the greatest to ever fucking do it. And it just is what it is. I don't understand the issue to people. I understand feeling for the feeling for the people who were involved in the act. But when you're unable to look past this is what the person did, but this is what the performer did, that's that's a little bit deeper problem there because it's got nothing to do with you. Nancy and his son and Chris dying had nothing to do with you. I mean, maybe you felt it because you maybe looked up to him or whatever it may be, and I get that they're in the public, they're in the spotlight, and people look up to them, but he still didn't do anything to you. So there's no reason for you to be all over the internet fucking talking about what a piece of shit and monster he was. Because okay, maybe he was a piece of shit and a monster. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I just know three people died that should still be with us to this day.
I hear what you're
And
saying. Yeah.
that's all right. That's what I know. That's what I know of it. And I'm not going to get up there and slander anybody's name. I'm not going to get up there and talk about what a piece of shit he was and what a monster he was. I'll talk with you all day about what how great a fucking performer he was.
And
Sure.
he was one of the greatest performers. There is no doubt about that. What he did outside the ring was messed up. That's all we can really say. It was fucked up. We can't prevent it from happening. And his son is paying the price. Promoters won't hire him because he looks like a spitting image of his
Yeah.
father. And when you
Yeah. I
nobody
see.
could tell me otherwise, because when you look at him, who do you see? I see Chris
Yeah.
Benoit.
It's Chris. Yeah. It's Chris. Yeah. All day long, it's Chris.
Yeah.
Yep.
So and it's really sad for him and that the fact that he lost his little brother and the person that he called mother, Nancy. Nancy, she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And JR has stated the reason that can't happen is because everybody's only going to remember what happened that night, what Chris did. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the reason JR said that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I feel Nancy should be in the Hall of Fame. But Chris, it would just bring up memories that JR said of that night. And when they do talk about outside the ring stuff, as we've already stated, and they probably would bring that up in a speech. You know what I'm saying? If somebody was back, so like how they do those videos for when they induct Hall of Famers, it would be like that.
Yeah.
We would be seeing that play out, and it's pretty sad to know that. But we can't change what happened. I feel bad for what happened, but Chris Benoit was no doubtably one of the greatest pro wrestlers of that time. Like he literally made a name for himself, and the reason he wasn't perceived as a for a long time, especially in WCW, he was being too short. He was too short. That's fucked up. But look at this. Look at the short guys. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. I could keep going on for days that became world champion. And they didn't need to be big, over 500 pounds, big muscles, looking like Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying?
Shawn Michaels wasn't a
Yep.
very big dude.
Yep.
Bret Hart wasn't a very big dude.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about somebody being short, and I know this is kind of after the fact, but if you're going to put the World Heavyweight Championship on arguably one of the greatest cruiserweights that was ever in wrestling, Rey Mysterio, then you can probably put the World Heavyweight Championship on anyone. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like that they shouldn't have put the World Heavyweight title on Rey. They shouldn't put the heavyweight championship of any kind on someone who's not a heavyweight.
Could we actually
Um,
talk about that race? So I'm gonna say this may be controversial, but you can take this how you want to for that. I feel he only won it because of Eddie's death. If that sounds
oh,
fucked,
absolutely,
if,
absolutely, yeah,
if
yeah,
that sounds
absolutely.
fucked up, I've been told that I understand that that's like a tribute thing, but at the same time, would he have held it if Eddie was still alive? That's my.
And it makes it, yeah, yeah, and I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I honestly believe if they was going to do anything for anybody as far as that went, Chavo was there.
Yeah, and we
I
could all say
mean,
that Chavo because
yeah,
remember at that time he was Korean, that freaking golf club gimmick or whatever, which was
yeah,
they buried
yeah.
Chavo at that time too. Like they would try to put him in stuff, and then they just never saw him as a big main event guy but they saw other guys as, and that was kind of like with Muhammad Hassan, they were pushing that guy to the moon.
Yeah.
But after his gimmick at the later times, as it was, he was a talented worker, but his gimmick, that was what costed him because of Vince. Vince McMahon could have pulled the plug on it. He didn't, though. It's like with the Brawl for All. He could have stopped the Brawl for All, but hey, it did not end until we actually got a winner. You know?
There is on Spotify. There's this thing on Spotify. It's called I believe it's called Dark Side of the Ring Unheard or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I know
Oh
exactly
my
what you're
God,
talking about.
dude!
It's like after the show. After
Oh
the show.
man, no, this is different. This is after that. I know what you're talking. That's like Dark Side of the Ring Confidential or
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah.
This is like a podcast. This is a
Oh,
podcast, and it's like Dark Side of the Ring, Unheard or something like that. So they have more. They go further into the Doctor D thing with John Stossel. They go further into the thing with their thing they did with like Terry Funk. They have something they did with Terry Funk in there. But I just got done listening to the one about Nikita Koloff,
oh.
and man, it was cool because they're talking about how, and they have audio of Nikita, you know, like doing interviews and whatnot since he's been away from wrestling, and and you would never know that that was Nikita Koloff talking if someone didn't tell you that that's the guy that was
Exactly,
Nikita
because of
Koloff.
his
You'd
gimmick
never
for so
know.
long. His
Yeah,
gimmick was
he
of
was
that of a
gimmick.
Russian.
Yeah, and he was gimmicked so deep with like one of the hardest fucking gimmicks. But they talk about Muhammad Hassan in the lead up to talking about the meat and potatoes of the show, getting to Nikita Koloff, because they gave Muhammad Hassan this controversial gimmick, and what he was Italian, and knew we're
Italian
going to
from
have you play.
Syracuse. They explained that right
Yeah,
from the Dark Side of the
yeah,
Ring. And even
yeah,
Jim Cornette, when they called him, what? He's Italian from Syracuse.
yeah, yeah. So they just fucked him. They fucked him out of a career because he could have been any other gimmick, any other name with the WWE machine behind him, and they could have done a lot more with him. It was just the time that it was, and people weren't as forgiving as they were even back in like the '80s. People talk about how rough people in the '80s and shit were. Well, you had Nikita Koloff. He came in the time when the Russians had protested the Olympics and whatnot.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So the gimmick was this was Ivan's nephew Nikita. He was one that he was supposed to be going to the Olympics to win gold and everything, but now because of what all's going on, that they've protested the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. So now he's going to come here and he's going to win all the gold here in America in professional wrestling. So that's the gimmick they give this man. He studies the gimmick, you know. He studies the gimmick enough to understand what some mannerisms and some stuff like that should be and all that kind of stuff. He ends up changing his name legally to Nikita Koloff, and just runs with this gimmick that could have ended up getting him killed coming out of any show anywhere in America at that point in time. Could have ended up getting him killed. So deep is the fact that like he was looked at to be Ivan Drago in Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is like they talked about it, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. So if he goes and say he was in Rocky and he was Ivan Drago and all that shit, so then they win an Oscar. He's got to still stay in character when he accepts his Oscar, because as far as anybody knows, this fella here is actually Russian. That's not to speak on the fact that if he got around people that really were Russian, that were like not in the business, who knew how Russians were really supposed to sound and really supposed to, then his cover's blown. Then it's such a dangerous fucking. It's great, man. It was a great podcast. It was, dude. I like
Well,
wrestling. I'm a mark, man. I don't like what's going on with wrestling these days, but I'm a mark. I love it all. The belts, every fucking thing, man. It's what I wanted to do ever since I was a kid. Ever since I was a kid, children would be asked in school, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And people want to be doctors and lawyers and all that kind of stuff. And I'd be like, well, "I want to be a wrestler." And they'd be like, "A wrestler like in the Olympics?" And I'm like, "No, a wrestler like the Road Warriors and like Dusty Rhodes
the
and Ric
Road
Flair."
Warriors.
I want to be a professional wrestler, and you get laughed at because back then it wasn't cool to be a wrestling fan. Wrestling was some was
Yeah.
some shit for something. So you get laughed at and picked on, and oh, he wants to be a wrestler. He's a wrestling weirdo and all that kind of shit. And I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care.
Yeah. And wrestling, a lot of us, like I would imagine most of us that do like we talk about this all the time. Wrestling is a sport that's gone on for, well, couldn't even really just call it. It's more like it's something that's been happening since way before most of our times. It's been happening since the
Mhm.
carnival days, where
Oh yeah.
basically, what's the thing about a carnival? They have an illusion for the people. That's what we were based around. And people like John Stossel was trying to kill that shit and freaking trying to take away from our business. But then you see what's so funny about the whole entire like going behind the scenes, right? Remember how Eddie Mansfield, the one that helped reveal the stuff to John Stossel, you remember Eddie Mansfield? He was the one that revealed the stuff to John Stossel, like how you cut
Yeah.
yourself. So
Yeah.
Vince basically, you know how he kind of went to more, this is entertainment, we're all going to show like reality. I think that was Vince's thing. Like he kind of was the one that made that happen. If you look at it, he's the one that
Well,
basically.
well, the story goes is he had sent Dave out there. He had sent Dave out there to take care of that. And why you would send Dave Schultz?
Of all
Yeah.
people, especially one that was literally born of the like, you have to protect your gimmick. He slapped the shit out of freaking John. He was because he
As well he should have. As well he should
exactly,
have. He should have.
exactly.
This is his,
And
yeah,
then
this is his
Vince,
later. What was that fake?
and then Vince was like, "Oh, we want you to say that I had nothing to do with this. That it was all your idea." Vince, he was trying to be like, "Don't get me in trouble, bro. Don't get me in trouble, but you could get in trouble."
Bitch ass Vince McMahon, man. I swear. He should have gave that man a push. He should have gave him a raise and a push.
Mm,
Brother, you are for the business. You're gonna go far, kid. I wish the IWA had been up and running back then.
like, do you think? Funny that you brought up the fact that David Schultz could have got pushed. The thing is, he was doing matches with Hulk Hogan, who was the biggest shit. But there is, I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw the dark side of the. I think you saw the dark side of being on David Schultz, of course. And you remember the whole situation where Vince McMahon told him he sent like one of the Strong Bros, who was like a producer at the time. He was like, Vince McMahon does not want you around Mr. T. He does not want you to talk to Mr. T. And David Schultz says, and he stated,
Yeah.
if you do, you will be fired. You're going to have to fire me then. Okay, you're fired. And then, yeah, I thought that was like, wow, bro, really? You fire him just because he was going to go talk to Mr. T? What, were you scared that he was going to whack him or something? Like,
He's gonna slap the shit out of Mr. T too.
right?
I don't
Like,
think I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have. Mr. T was for the business. He was with Hogan when he choked out. What's his name?
oh gosh, Richard Belzer.
Yeah, Belzer, Richard
Yeah,
Belzer. He was with
because yeah,
he was with her when he checked, but when he choked Belzer out, I think he would have got along all right with Mr. T.
I agree with that.
Um,
I agree.
yeah, but that's crazy. Yeah, I've seen that Dark Side of the Ring episode, and they have a thing on that on the one I was just telling you about, the untold or unheard or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They have where they go a little further into it on that one. I just like binge listened to a whole bunch of that shit the other day, man. It's good shit. It's good shit. It's amazing. It's amazing how good the shit is. But
Well said, sir.
yeah,
Well said.
man, the way people portray their characters. See, we're still talking here. I know I'm stretching this shit out, but heels in particular. If you're going to be a heel, when I was in UWF, the two gentlemen that ran the UWF, Matt Dawes and John Reese, had an idea where they wanted to like have a it would be a website. It would be like a merchandise website. Of course, you wouldn't really be able to buy anything because it wouldn't really the stuff that would be on it wouldn't be for sale. But it'd just be for the purposes of the show to like further the gimmick and whatnot of the show. So now we have a merch we have a merch website where you can go quote unquote order merchandise for your favorite UWF superstar. And there was like, and everybody can have a T-shirt and all this, that, and the third. And I was like, well, I don't want any T-shirts.
And you guys got sponsored by a drinking company, like a one, right?
Rogue Energy, Player One Coffee, Cisco was a guy who was in the thing, but Player One Coffee and Rogue Energy were legit sponsors that they had. Yeah, there wasn't any more than they they were. I don't know whether they were giving money or not. I don't know because I wasn't that far into the things in UWF. I was more talent. I was put on creative shortly before they started getting busy in life and they couldn't do it anymore. But so I don't know how like sponsor that was. I know those are legit companies, Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee, and I know that Rogue Energy had a code. If you watched the show, you could go online, you could put the code in, and you got like 5% off of your first order or something using that code that was broadcast on UWF and all that kind of thing. But uh yeah, so they wanted to have this merch this merch website. And they were like, well, we can have like, if you could think of like t-shirt ideas and things of that nature. And I was like, well, I don't want any t-shirts. I wouldn't Williams Daryl Williams wouldn't have T-shirts. Well, why wouldn't you have T-shirts, man? This is a cool idea. Yeah, it's a cool idea, but I'm a heel.
Yeah.
And JBL agrees with me, and JBL I feel is one of the greatest heels in the history of professional wrestling. You don't want to be a heel and look out in the crowd and see a kid wearing your T-shirt. You don't want to be a heel and have people approaching you asking you for autographs and have pictures taken and things of that nature. You're not a heel if that's what's going on. You're a face. At best, you're a tweener. If you want to be a heel, you don't engage with the fans for anything other than to piss them off. That's it.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand it. They didn't understand why I didn't want to have T-shirts and all that kind of thing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't end up having the merch store anyway because they got busy. They're doing lives. It happens.
Indeed.
But those are my dudes though, man. Matt Dawes and John Reese, man. They were good dudes. Still in contact with them to this day.
Go check out the
Um,
UWF, everybody. I've watched their
yeah,
show,
yeah,
Good.
yeah. All the stuff from there. You can see, you can see the beginnings of hostility on American soil there, all the way up to the doors closing, and then you can switch over to DTKA and you can watch that stuff and see even more of what hostility did. And you can come to IWA and you can watch what we've been doing there and what's been going on there. It's been a hell of a run. IWA has been a hell of a run. We can't watch anything that RYPW or TWS or whatever the other one was because they folded and I think they lost their YouTube channel if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
they did. That is the one thing I never hope to happen is lose my YouTube because if I do, I don't have these on a backup
Yeah,
thing. So once I lose all
yeah,
these are gone. These are gone.
yeah, yeah. That sucks, man, because there's a lot of footage. There's not a lot, but there's a good little bit of hostility footage would have been in the RYPW archives there. We won the tag team championships there and never lost them. Never lost them there. Um yeah, man, hostility's been hostility, dude. I never would have figured. Man, I'm humbled. I'm humbled by it. It's uh it's a cool feeling.
Yes, it is. And we do need to get this wrapped up. Thank you for the long conversation, my brother. It's always a pleasure talking with you again. Thank you for coming on. You want to
Yes, sir.
give any final words before we get off here and my phone dies?
Just shout outs to IWA, all out war, what's Chambers
All
is
Out War
group.
Entertainment, AOWE.
Man, thank you to everybody that comes into the IWA shows and sits with us and chills with us and watches the shows and stuff. We hope you're enjoying it. If anybody has any ideas or something that they may want to see, hit somebody up, man. Hit somebody up and shoot us some ideas or something. We're pretty open minded when it comes to the matches and things of that nature, and we can try to do what we can try to do, man. IWA, we're here for the people and we're here to have fun. That's pretty much it. But yeah, man, shout out to everybody in the community. Shout out to all y'all. Everybody be safe. Everybody have a good one.
Yes, yes. And we hope everybody has a great day, good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever y'all may be. Peace out.